Hello, fellow Whovians. Welcome again to another edition of the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. And I have a question for you. Don't you think now is a good time to face the music? Don't you think now is a good time to face death?
Hi, I'm William Sadler from Bill and Ted Face the Music, and this is the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS.
My name is Christian Basil. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a TARDIS. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With web show, this is the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Again, welcome back to a Legend of the... Wow, that's a great start. Hello, folks. Again, welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show. My name is Christian Basil. We've got an exciting interview going on ahead. And let me introduce my friends, all the fellow panelists right here. First of all, we're going to start off with... let's go ahead and unmute some mics there. We're going to start off all the way to my far left. Is it right?
Sorry.
Left, right. Dr. Freedom himself. How you doing? The man with the hat on there, Dr. Freedom, Brian Barres.
That's okay. I'm never sure where I'm at either.
That's the way we start our shows these days. Right down.
There we go.
I right down underneath me. I don't want to say it.
I got it now.
You got it now?
Yes.
This is the lovely Melanie Dean. You can check her out on the Instagram, Pieces of Melee. How you doing there, Melanie?
Doing quite well. Really excited for today's interview. Hopefully everybody else has some questions and comments that they can keep live chatting as we go through the show.
That's right. And you can actually join our live chat and be part of the banter with the Team TARDIS. All you'd have to do is if you're on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel right now, you can go on the chat, type it up, and we'll bring up your comments on screen. And if you have any questions for our lovely guest over on this side, we will be bringing them up for Bill in just a few moments. First of all, we also want to introduce Kevo from Husbands Talking More or Less podcast. And I know we haven't had you that much on, Kevo. Tell us a little bit about that podcast, just a moment for people who might be just joining us there.
Well, as it's titled, Husbands Talking More or Less is mostly me and my husband. More or less talking different media. We started by doing the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and now we are currently doing the Fantastic Four, but we are also on another podcast on the same network that's discussing Fast and the Furious. Basically, we just love all media, and obviously Doctor Who is one of them. And today, repping the Bill and Ted.
Gotcha there. Welcome. Bill, you said you were having some technical issues over there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I couldn't hear him at all.
Oh, okay. Kevo, can you talk again? We'll just do a little test. Kevo, can you just speak again so hopefully Bill can hear you? Bill, can you hear him?
Mm-mm.
Oh, no. Okay. That's a little bit
I
weird.
couldn't hear Melanie either.
Oh, no.
Really?
Yeah. I'm having issues with your
okay.
with your sound.
Okay, Dr. Freedom, go ahead and release your mic. Folks, we're just having some technical difficulties. Do apologize. Dr. Freedom, do a test 1, 2, 3, just to make sure Bill can hear.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Gotcha.
Hello.
No, nobody, just me?
Only you, Kristen.
You're the voice of God.
This is going to be an interesting show there.
God, okay.
Gotcha. Well, Melanie, I can hear everybody else. So, Melanie, would you mind? Do you think it'd be okay if we took a break? If we went ahead and just did a break and have Bill check out his equipment? Okay, folks. Normally we would hold for a commercial break.
There we
go.
go.
Do a commercial now. I would say go ahead. Oh,
hang on. Now you're coming back. Here we go.
Oh, now you're coming back. Okay.
Now all of you speak at once.
Hello. Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry.
Everybody screamed very loudly.
I'm being dragged kicking and screaming into
No,
the
that's
21st
fine. That's
century. I'm so sorry, guys.
I think that's what death says it all there. I think that's what death is there.
Yeah.
So again, if you're joining us on the live feed, now that Bill can hear us all, we want to welcome Bill or William Sadler, or better known as Death, on the last two Bill and Ted movies. For those who might not be familiar with your work there, Bill, can you tell us a little bit about? Yeah, exactly. Where have you been?
He's in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
but
tell
him a little bit about yourself and how you got into acting.
I'm an actor guy.
You're an actor guy.
I started back in high school. I was actually did stand-up comedy first. I called myself Banjo Bill Sadler. I told jokes and played the banjo, and then I discovered acting, which was much easier, and there was much better writing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Shakespeare's better at this, and there were many better writers, and I was good at it. And then I went away and studied it at college, and then grad school, and then I did like 11 years of theater in New York, that ended with a year and a half on Broadway with Biloxi Blues, Neil Simon's play. And then I did my first movie, which was, I think, with Project X with Matthew Broderick and Helen.
Oh, wow.
And Stephen Lang and so on. And it took me a while to make the transition into movies, but that's how it all started for me.
What was the very, very first play that you were in? The very, very first play. Do you remember
it was
that?
Harvey.
Oh, wow. And what role were you in Harvey?
I was Elwood P. Dowd. I was the guy who saw the invisible rabbit and the Jimmy Stewart role.
Nice.
And it was just magic. It was so much fun, and that was my senior year in high school. And I was kind of, after that, I did a play by Frank Gilroy called The Subject Was Roses, which is a 3-character drama, Pulitzer Prize winning drama, that launched Martin Sheen on Broadway. And and I was just to work on material that was that good sold me. I was I had a knack for it, and I wanted to study it, and I was just hooked after that. That's all I wanted to do. So that's all I did.
And what was that defining moment? When was the moment that you said, okay, well, because I remember I watched my friends in high school. They did Bye Bye Bird. No, I'm sorry. They did Little Abner. And I said, I'm going to try to do this on stage, and actually auditioned and got a role in The Diary of Anne Frank. And I was Jan Dussel. And
nice.
Thank you. And when I finally got to my drama teacher, I said, why did you bring me on to this? He's like, this was my first acting gig per se on stage. And I said, why'd you bring me on to this? And she goes, you don't want to know. And I'm like, no, honestly. She goes, you look rather Jewish. So I got it, because I don't know how the Filipino face works into that, but it worked in there. We had a diverse cast.
I had an English teacher named Dan Larkin back in Orchard Park, New York, in 1968. It was before anyway. And he was watching me sort of flounder around in high school. I was in a garage band for a while. I was in a folk band. I was doing stand-up comedy. And he's the one who said, why don't you try out for this play? And he directed the play as well. And I had there was years and years and years later, right back in 2005, I played Julius Caesar on Broadway with Denzel Washington. And Dan Larkin's daughters brought him to New York to see a matinee, and we went out for lunch afterwards. And I got a chance to say thank you to the man who an English teacher who pointed to that door and said, you're good at that. Why don't you try that, Bill? Instead of teaching shop, which was the other thing I was it looked like I was headed toward. So I was very grateful, and I'm glad I got a chance to say thank you to him.
I think we're all grateful that you picked the other course. Where you didn't go with the shop class.
And didn't teach shop.
Exactly. Well, I meant you
Showing
may have been
kids
good.
Showing kids how to use a bandsaw.
Exactly.
I mean,
save all those fingers.
Yeah.
Dad, look what Mr. Sadler showed me this morning. Oh,
no,
wow.
it was clearly the right choice, and I never looked back. You know, I did a few odd jobs along the way before it began to pay for itself. But it's always been a joy. It's always been a challenge, and every role is another chance to get up and at bat.
Right.
And so it's still fun. It's maybe more fun now even than it used to be.
Do you feel that one discipline pulls you more than another, whether it's film or theater?
I was, like I said, I came to film late in my career. I'd done nothing but theater for 11 years, and college before that was all theater. And I didn't really start to appreciate the power of film. It took me a couple of movies. I apologize for those. I was a good actor.
Why are you apologizing?
But because the
intimacy of a camera, then having to project through a proscenium.
And what you can, there's a universe that's available in front of a camera, and in that close-up, there's just all you have to do is let the thought cross your mind, and the audience goes, "Oh my God, he knows," you know. It's sort of effortless, and it insists that you be real. It insists that you be honest with your feelings, and so I kind of fell in love with the film. I mean, I still go back and do work on stage, but it terrifies me.
What's your preference? Would you be in front of the camera or live on stage? What is your preference?
I think I would be. Well, it's almost a toss-up, I suppose, because I do love the live theater, but it's exhausting. It's it's usually 8 shows a week. There's no one can yell cut. There's no backsies. There's no, if you're not cooking it up for each and every night at 7 o'clock, 8 times a week, it isn't going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. And so it's a really great training ground for actors, because it's all on you.
No, I get your point, because with film and stage, and like on stage, if you forget a line or anything like that, there is no cut. There is no let's go back and reshoot this or redo anything like that. And the same thing when I was in theater. I've messed up lines, people have messed up lines, and we just kept going and going and going, and hopefully nobody saw that.
You rely on one another. It's an ensemble. Right. It's always a team. It's always an ensemble. And you can't have a headache. You can't be sick. You can't be late. You can't. You know what I mean? Everyone else on the team is relying on you to be there, and so it's a great training ground. But film is easier. And you'll reach more. It's like a bad night on television will reach more people than a year of doing shows on Broadway. That's true.
Is there a specific theater in New York that feels like, if you're on those particular boards, that it's home, that you've done so many plays, particularly there, and you're like, I feel good here. This is like.
I think, the Neil Simon Theater. There was a year and a half showing up 8 times a week, and so yeah. But I don't know. They're different animals. They're very different animals. but there's something seductive about the camera, working for a camera, because there's a universe that's available in that close-up. There's a freedom it always feels like an improv. No matter how many times you do the take, every single time you're working your way through it, thought by thought by thought, and trying to forget what's coming down the road, right, so that you're genuinely surprised when,
Speaking of genuinely surprised, Bill, we're going to go on a commercial break. I told you, worst segue ever on commercials. When we return, we're going to continue our conversation with Bill Sadler. What's that? That was a great segue?
Yeah. Go to commercial.
I'm going to commercial. When we return, we're going to continue our conversation with Bill Sadler from Bill and Ted 2 and 3. Thank you for joining us and continue to become part of the legend. Stay tuned. Here we go.
Bateman.
What's the Bateman?
A novel set in Florida, written by Florida author D.L. Havlin. Suspense, mystery, and murder.
Evidence is in the bait.
The Bateman is available at local bookstores and online.
Jackie Sonnenberg's My Soul to Keep is a ghost story rooted in the realities of actual cults. When 13-year-old Sky Monroe arrives at her new boarding school, all she can think about is death and connecting with the afterlife. Soon she discovers her school's spirituality group, the Guardians of Light, and they have a secret. They can speak with the dead, and the organization is a cult. But this isn't Sky's only problem. The campus house where Sky resides is haunted, and even the ghosts have an agenda. They intend on getting the souls they want. Filled with mystery and intrigue plucked straight from the headline, author Jackie Sonnenberg's research and attention to detail give this ghost story an even more eerie atmosphere. Find My Soul to Keep on Amazon.com today. Deborah Parmley's Jenna's Christmas Wish.
Santa, if there's one thing I want for Christmas more than anything, it's someone to spend Christmas with. Someone who really wants me to be there.
Head to the mountains of East Tennessee with romance author Jenna Hart for a Christmas writer's workshop. Since her mother passed after a long illness, Jenna has had one wish. She doesn't want to spend Christmas alone. Meeting Niccolo Maldini, cover model and actor, could make more than Jenna's Christmas wish come true. Unless Ember, Niccolo's ex-girlfriend, does something crazy to stop them from being together. It's a mountain Christmas romance you won't want to miss in Deborah Parmley's Jenna's Christmas Wish. Now on Amazon.com.
And if you're watching this on our live feed, don't thank us. Thank our friends at geekinsider.com. If you're watching this on the YouTube or the Facebook channel, geekinsider.com, please subscribe.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.
And folks, welcome back to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basil. I'm here with Melanie Dean. I'm here with Dr. Freedom, Brian Burress. I'm here with Kevo from Husbands Talking More or Less podcast. And I'm here with there we go, I pointed there. The lovely Bill Sadler, who plays Death and other stuff. But you're going to be seeing him in Bill and Ted 3, Face the Music, as his recurring role as Death. And I finally got to see the movie, Bill. I got to see it last night, and I got to tell you, if this is the way I don't want to spoil it, but if this is the way it has to end, it works. It works for me. It works really well. It was just a nice little wrapped up bow in a package saying, if this is the way it's going to be, this is good. This is nice. This is how it goes then.
Wasn't that sweet? I thought
that was sweet.
So too. I wasn't sure how the whole thing was going to come together, because you see that you read the script and you get to do the parts that you do on the soundstage, but you know, there's a chemistry, there's a, you know, when you put all the elements together and you watch it with a crowd of people, and they start laughing, and then you can, you know, you get a feeling of whether it works or it doesn't work. And yeah, I thought it was really fun. I thought it was genuinely fun, and I don't like watching myself on film as a rule. I'm not comfortable. You know, I don't.
No, you're fine there.
But I really enjoyed watching Keanu and Alex and Bridget, Lundy Payne and Samara, and just all of them. I thought I was blown away. I thought they did a wonderful job.
I think you guys all did a wonderful job. Well, Kevo, you had a question, or was I mistaken there? Did you have a quick question for Bill?
Not in particular. Not at this juncture. I just wondered, how was it being back in the makeup after, you know, all of these years?
Oh my God, yeah.
Look at that. That's Bogus Journey. I was younger then. Actually, while a few years back, I sort of developed an allergy to makeup, which is a terrible thing for an actor. There are only certain kinds that don't give me I don't get a reaction from. And so we were kind of struggling with the makeup this time around. I had no problem at all with Bogus Journey. And I sat in that makeup for, you know, days and days and days and days. It's, you know, 3 hours to get it on and 40 minutes to get it off. And I had no issues at all. This time, my eyes started swelling shut and my face was all puffed up like this. I had to take prednisone. It was more difficult. But that said, the minute the makeup was on and the Czechoslovakian accent was coming back, then then this guy just sort of, you know, put the robes on, put the boots on. He just popped right. It was like I had done him yesterday.
We just picked it up yesterday. Nothing happened there.
Came zooming back.
Now, you were kind enough to be on our other Hanging with Web show sister stations, and I was watching some of the stuff out there. And one of the things I wanted to address to people that they may not know, this is not your first time playing Death in Bogus Journey. In fact, it was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was an improv group that you were in, or you actually played Death for something else back in the 80s, and they picked up on this and they saw. I wish I had the video, but there is a video out there.
You can go to, I think you can watch it on YouTube. It's called Assaulted Nuts. Was the name of the show, and it was on Cinemax. It was a sketch comedy show, and they did a sketch where I was supposed to play Death, and I come to take this woman, and she's such a pain in the butt that I leave. I throw my hands up and leave because she's so obnoxious and give me such a hard time that I just leave. But for some reason, when we went to do it, I grabbed this accent, and the accent actually I learned from there's an actor, he's passed now, named Jan Triskan, and I did a play with him back in New York, and he was from Czechoslovakia, and everything he said was like that, and I just thought it was this wonderful, funny. You could read the phone book that way, and it sounded funny, so I used it. In the Assaulted Nuts, which I think you can watch it on YouTube. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is. It is on YouTube. I got to see it. Well, at least Garrett was playing it, and I saw you in there, and all the mannerisms, everything about Death seemed to spawn out from death.
I know.
In that little
and
comedy
then
bit.
Years later, they said, you know, I auditioned for Bogus Journey, and I did the accent again, and it was funny. But and about 3 weeks went by, and I didn't hear anything, and they were apparently looking for somebody really old to play Death, because like they were like looking at Christopher Lee, right, from the old Hammer movies, and Christopher Lloyd, and all these, you know, much older guys. And I got a phone call at home from the casting director, Karen Ray. She said, Bill, I need you to come back in tomorrow and do the audition again, but you have to go to a Halloween store and get some gray and put it in your hair and black your teeth out, and because they think you're too young and cute. And so I thought, well, that's just gonna look awful. So I called the makeup artist on Die Hard 2, a man named Scott Edo, that I had just worked with him, and I told him my problem, and he said, well, come on over to my house. I'll make you look old. and sure enough,
was there alcohol involved in this?
At like 7 a.m, in Marina Del Rey, in his apartment, he made me look like 70, you know, or older. And I got in my car and drove to Orion Pictures, and I did the audition again. And that was it. They, you know, and then I heard back later that one of the producers had said, you know, he looks a lot older in person.
Wow. Okay.
But that's amazing. Well, I got him to do your that he was able to help you out and get that look without it looking cartoonish and weird, but at least so that the casting directors or whoever was in that room could look at you and go, okay, well, it clicks now.
They hadn't decided on the makeup that I would wear, but there were still all of these design ideas floating around, and they didn't end up making me look old at all. Just this white skull-like head. And I know they were nervous. The very first day of filming on Bogus Journey was the game sequence with the boys playing Clue and Battleship. And I remember seeing the producers all standing. They were all standing around like this with their arms crossed. They were like, you know, is this going to work? Is this going to work? Because it was my first day of filming. We'd never tried the makeup. We'd never filmed the accent. We'd never done any of it before. And then when they watched the dailies, and it was funny. Yeah. It was, and then they all went, oh, no, this is good. I think we're good. And from that day forward, it was like, you know, yeah, whatever you want to do, Bill, go. So
one of the most iconic interpretations.
Yeah, I was about to say that accent. I was about to say the accent definitely worked, because to this day, when I think back on Bogus Journey, the one line that still sticks in my head, because everybody busted up laughing in the theater, I hate you have sunk my battleship.
My husband literally just said that yesterday when I said, yeah, don't forget tomorrow I'm going to be interviewing. And he's like, that movie, that line cracks him up.
And you want to hear something? Now here's something ironic. When I actually called the casting people before I did the audition, and I said, I'm thinking of doing an accent, and they said, "Ooh, no, you probably shouldn't do that." But I ignored them, because, you know, he would have. You have sunk my battleship.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Yeah, it
doesn't sing.
Same way.
God.
There's a sadness in there with that.
I know.
That accent, I don't know. Sorry. One of the greatest web deliveries ever, sir.
Oh, thank you. First day, first scene, first day, first time I'd ever met Alex and Keanu. I was nervous. They were nervous. and then it worked out, and everybody relaxed. But you ever sank my battleship?
And that'll be the hashtag for this show. Melanie, I don't know if I want to ask Alfred's question. I'd love
let's take a quick sidebar to it because we do need to go on a commercial break.
We got a commercial break. Okay.
Yes, we do, and then we can we'll come right back with Alfred's question.
You got it. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, and continue to become part of the legend. Here we go.
Experience Samara's adventure as she imagines the people around her change into friendly cartoon animals right before her eyes. Journey with her in this poetic tale, My Cartoon Imagination at School.
Alien invaders enslave Earth,
unleashing hunters into the ruined wastes.
One young survivor struggles to elude their monsters, clinging to hope.
When he's stolen off the planet by a sarcastic starship AI, they pit their uneasy alliance against a treacherous galaxy.
Explore a whole new verse of barbarism and betrayal.
Wonder and adventure.
In the Scion series
by Michael J. Allen.
Beginning with Book 1, Scion Conquered Earth.
Available in print, ebook, and audio on Amazon.com.
Now on Amazon.com, iCoin from author Jeremy Mosby. It's an alternate reality, and the leader of the planet iCoin is none other than Benjamin Franklin. When corrupt officials threaten not only iCoin but the Earth as well, an unlikely chosen one, Jeremy, must face dark foes to save the Earth and iCoin alike. Author Jeremy Mosby takes readers on a superhero's adventure through this compelling and imaginative alternate universe. Get iCoin on Amazon.com today.
And folks, if you want to join up with the family of sponsors, with the Hanging with Web show family of sponsors, or even the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS family of sponsors, we've got our price lists out now. We'll be happy to communicate to you. Just communicate to us. Either email Sage at hangingwithshow, spelled HANGIN with show.com, or myself, Christian, at hangingwithshow.com. We do have a price list, whether you want to do a la carte, if you have special things. We've got 37,000 subscribers on our Facebook page. You got that, Bill? 37,000 and growing. In fact, can you not hear me again? Oh no, did it happen again? Can you hear me, Bill? Did the mic go out again? Oh no. Well, no, if you
has unmuted your mic.
It is unmuted. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you fine.
You can hear me, but I can't hear you. Wait.
Oh no.
Can't hear them.
Well, while you're doing that, let's go ahead and
there we go.
There we go. Gotcha. No problem
I'm
there.
Fixing you.
Okay.
Oh, you're fixing me? Well, for folks, if you want to become our family of sponsors, we've got a ton of sponsors, as you can see. Please email Sage at hangingwithshow.com or myself, Christian, at hangingwithshow.com. We're going to continue our interview with Bill in just a moment. I'm hoping he can hear me okay.
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, good.
Sorry, but I
got you there.
2020
with rotary dials.
No, that's okay. I mean, future stuff, future tech stuff. But as long as you're able to still hear us, this is awesome. I want to welcome back everybody: Melanie, Kevo, Dr. Freedom himself, Brian Barres, and Bill Sadler from Bill and Ted 2 and 3. I'm sorry, 2 and 3. Gosh, there. And we're getting to your chat, so make sure that you get with us. Continue to chat there.
Sorry.
Sloan shakes his fist. Got it there. And we're going to continue our conversation with Bill Sadler from the new movie, Bill and Ted Face the Music down there. You said when you first met with Keanu and Alex, thank you. Why I could not get that, thank you. And Alex for the very first time. But when you met them again to do the third segment, how was your relationship then? Did it pick up right, or did it start off a little shaky there?
I wasn't sure exactly how it was, what it was going to feel like, because it had been almost 30 years. It's been 29 years since we'd been together. I'd seen Alex from time to time in the interim, but I had not seen Keanu. And but the minute we set foot on the stage, it was like we had never. Bogus Journey had happened yesterday. You know,
Mhm.
we picked up exactly where we left off. There was great energy and love and warmth, and you know, you do the take, and when they yell cut, then everybody goes, "Oh Jesus! Oh my God! Did we just do that?" And we go, "Yeah, we did."
There you go.
Yeah, we did just do that, but that wasn't in the script. No, I know.
So
It looked great.
So what things did you? So you improv the whole thing, or did you guys have an actual script?
Oh no! We did no. We did the script too.
Oh, okay. At 2.
Was it more of a set where you get to have where the director kind of lets you guys have a few different takes, or it was like one take go? Because I know
Dean Pariseau was great. That was great that way. He was, you know, it was very free. You know, we would do the script. We would do it as, you know, as scripted, and then if something happened during the scene, you know, an ad lib or whatever, and my character is prone to that too, because he's, you know, like I said, once I get into this character, I sort of can't turn him off.
It's dynamic,
yeah, and which was really fun, and so there were a few things that got added. And
I actually saw earlier on YouTube the Death's Crib video. That's right. The extra. Was that, so how scripted was that versus like
none of that was scripted? That was
that's delightful to hear. You were amazing in it. Awesome.
I had the costume and the makeup and the character on, and I just, you know, what if he was showing you where he lives?
Yeah.
That was absolutely all that. That was entirely ad-libbed. So
that was fantastic, sir.
Thank you.
And you have an amazing I mean, for a better term, the IMDb, and I've affectionately called it the Hugh Laurie, the Hugh Laurie effect, meaning that I think people will see you in other movies and not get it until it comes up to its fruition, to like Death in Bill and Ted, and they go like, "Oh my God, it's him!" And then when they finally go back, like, you were in the Rocket Man. And let me just bring up something that one of our audience members mentioned, because he has a question. And it was Bill Sadler. It's Alfred Pennyworth is absolutely amazing. I have a question: how did they blow up the spacesuit in Rocket Man in that hilarious scene where the other guys had gas? And I was just like, I was asking, you were Wild Bill and Rocket Man. Tell us a little bit about that venture out there.
Harlan Williams farted in his spacesuit. That's pretty much how they did it. It was just
there's no acting necessary.
They put him in a special spacesuit and then blew it up. It was
like those sumo.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
But that's how they did it. They switched him out of his normal suit and into one that I think they pumped gas into it or something. It wasn't him. It wasn't me.
It wasn't you.
I didn't do it.
Me, clearly.
Isn't that what he
Bad day
says
from
that
Taco Bell.
It wasn't me. We're on Mars. What do you mean it wasn't?
So, Bill, you have a big, long resume of just movies that you've done. So many. Which one are you most proudest of? Which one of all those movies are you the most proud of? I would say Bill and Ted, but I know that you have other movies in there. Which one would be your?
I guess I would have. I mean, I'd have to. Shawshank has to be it. I love Bill and Ted, and I love the trilogy, and it's probably going to be, you know, on my tombstone. He finally got to meet death. But I think the movie that I'm maybe the most proud of is the Shawshank Redemption. I just thought, I can't believe that it's it continues to be this thing, this touchstone for audiences year after year after year after year. It's remarkable. people said when it first came out, I heard people say, "Hey, it's a classic," and all I kept saying was, "Not yet. It's not a classic. Yeah, let's see in 10, 15, 20 years. Do we? Because I've done other movies that, they don't age well." But that one just feels timeless somehow, and important to people. So Shawshank.
But you're also like in The Green Mile, and I think that's a movie that's important to people as well. That was a powerful, powerful movie.
That was I don't have a great deal to do in that film, but it was one of the hardest. It was one of the most difficult acting gigs that I think I've ever done, because I play the guy who loses his two daughters, his two little girls are murdered, and he comes out on the porch and there's blood and the screen has been cut and they're gone.
Right.
And our daughter was about the same age at the time, and it was one of those things where in order to do it well, I had to keep one foot sort of in. What if that were the case? What if that really were the case? How, what would that feel like? And because it was such an awful place to live for the time that I had to live there, I couldn't just like joke around with the crew and then they say action and you
go back that dark.
Just jump right into this thing, or I didn't feel like I could anyway. So
given your body of work, what is the furthest that you've had to travel in order to shoot? Like, have you gone overseas? Did you have to go to Romania?
Australia. I think Australia, when I did the Pacific for HBO. That's about as far as you can go before you're coming back home again, around the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Take us next time when you go with you.
Well, no, because I always kind of wonder, like, when it comes to like shooting, what's the furthest you had to go, and then at that point, it's like, well, with that so much of a time difference, how are you able to still keep in touch with family if you can even do that? Because depending on how long your shooting schedule is going to be, there's like, not only you're just far away from home, but now you're going to be, this time difference is going to, be a pain in the ass on top of it.
There's no question that it becomes a real issue. It becomes very difficult if you try to make a time every night or every day when you can call one another and stay in touch. But it isn't easy, and you miss birthdays, you miss you miss all kinds of things. There's a price for this gypsy existence.
One question on my mind.
It's funny. It's like this pandemic has got everybody sort of, locked down. Bro. I haven't. Next week, I think I go back and finish a movie for Screen Gems in Boston. The only reason I'm going is because I can drive myself there.
Oh.
And they can put me in a hotel room that they bought the whole floor, and no one else goes there. I mean, they've gone to such extraordinary lengths to keep us safe. I don't know. I don't know what happens to the industry when I don't feel safe getting on planes, or jump on a plane and go to Los Angeles and take cabs and.
Yeah. I almost wonder if, like, the way sports are kind of handling it by creating these little kind of micro bubbles, and if that's going to be, to your point of Screen Gems taking the entire floor of a hotel, as if a production company could possibly make these little kind of micro bubbles where people feel a little bit safer, and that way you can kind of continue to, because I know with entertainment, you guys work. Where's work? I need work. There's not much voiceover right now either.
I don't know. It's changing the way everybody thinks about all of this stuff. But yeah, I haven't. If there's a silver lining to the, it's that I've gotten to stay home and, work on the garden and hang out with the grandkids. And I'm a grandfather. Did you know that?
Oh,
no,
I didn't know that.
No, I'm really old.
You have 2 daughters, right?
I have 1 daughter. We have 1 daughter.
Yeah, one daughter.
And 1 wife and 1 daughter, and she's
one
married,
wife
and two little kids that live.
Oh,
we were clever enough to buy the house next door when it became available, and so they live like 130 steps away, which is just a blessing. It's
Well, especially in this time, that way you don't have to worry about, that you're far away and all that kind of stuff. You've made your own little kind of bubble being next door.
Exactly. I mean, they could have moved, she could have gotten married and moved to, Wisconsin or something. And we'll see you at Christmas.
Yeah. See you another holiday. Maybe another holiday. I don't know. I'm not getting on a plane ever again.
I know, right? What do you do?
I don't know. I mean, it's funny. It's like some people how do you go to work and fly? How do you vacation? We were chatting before the show about vacations. It's like, I don't know what a vacation is. My last vacation was in March. We landed and we were locked down. That was it. Like, okay.
I've never taken a vacation ever. I think I was off filming something on our honeymoon. This gypsy life is, it's not for everybody.
Oh,
so it's nice to be home for a while,
Crazy change of pace.
I know. I grew a beard, I shaved it off, then I grew another one, I shaved it off. My hair is like gigantic now.
It's flowing. It's COVID
and I
hair.
have to cut it to go back. I have to go back and finish filming this movie. It's called Shrine, for Screen Gems, and my hair we stopped in March, so my hair is like super short, and I was 20 pounds lighter or heavier then, and we'll see. My wife doesn't want me to cut it, but they're gonna have to.
Well, yeah. Did you already start filming on this, or is this brand new?
Half of it already?
Crap! So you have to go back to what you were looking like for the role in March. So makeup. You'll be in makeup, and they'll go ahead and cut your hair. Sorry.
But they have to do it all like by remote control. Everybody's got to be in PPE, and you're tested 3 times a week. And if you do a close-up scene with another actor, there's like plexiglass between you, and it's just remarkable. It's remarkable. I'm not sure how we. They bent over backwards to make this possible so that we can finish the film, which is great. But it's weird.
Speaking of weird, Melanie, it's time for a break, right? We got to get
final commercial break.
One more final commercial break. Break glass, full handles. When we return, we're going to finish up our interview with Mr. Bill Sadler, Death himself. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tune in, and continue to become part of the legend. Here we go again.
You have more options than ever before when choosing a film, a television or internet series, a book to curl up with, or even a radio show or podcast. Get to know the people who are creating for you. The Hangin' With Web Show, hosted by award-winning author and journalist G.W. Pomacher, is the internet's fastest-growing web talk show series. The Hangin' With Web Show features professional, yet casual, in-depth interviews with creative arts and entertainment pros. Meet the people behind a digital revolution in creating more quality content than ever before in the history of media. Find the Hangin' With Web Show on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or simply go to www.hanginwithshow.com. That's www.hanginwithshow.com. GINwithshow.com.
This is the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Also catch us on the HWWS Web TV YouTube channel. Subscribe today and become part of the legend.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Meet the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor.
But not the one you were expecting.
All right, sexy. It's time to go home.
Doctor Who Velocity. Streaming now.
Don't forget to check out Crystal Moore in the latest episode of Doctor Who Velocity, episode 6, Tron, where it's actually a mashup between Tron and Doctor Who. Crystal Moore is back in Doctor Who Velocity Tron. Check it out there and tell them the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS sent you. We're back with our guest, Bill Sadler. We're here with Brian Barres, Dr. Freedom, Melanie Dean, Pieces of Melee, and Kevo Risse over with Husbands Talking more or less there. Looks like I think Bill might be still having some technical difficulties. Only happens when the commercials come up. No, you're not? You're good?
No, I'm fixing you guys there.
Oh, you're fixing us? Okay, but you can hear us.
Dr.
Okay,
Freedom,
okay.
Dr. Freedom, say something.
Well, he's got his mic off.
right now, but
Hello, I'm here. What happened?
There you go.
Yeah,
there we go.
He's awake.
Okay. Thank you for coming back, and thank you. Stay with us for the final segment here with Bill Sadler. And definitely check out the movie. Definitely check out the movie there. And let me put up the sign out there because I was trying to find it earlier. There it is. Bill and Ted 3 with Bill recurring his role as Death, and one of the funniest scenes in the movie. Hysterical. I'm not gonna break too much, but basically, quote unquote, they're getting the band back together. Death's not happy about that. Thank you for continuing to join us there. And Kevo, when we went to commercial, you said you had a question for Bill. What was your question there, sir?
Well, I mean, we're on a talk show about an alien TV show, so I could not possibly let William Sadler get away without me referencing what is my favorite role of yours, sir, as Sheriff Jim Valenti on Roswell. Seriously, one of the greatest sci-fi fantasy dads on a teen show ever. So, first of all, thank you for that. But moreover, I'd read the book series that it was based on, and your character was definitely way hardcore a villain when in the original series, and a lot more toward the beginning of the show. How did that evolve, I guess? Is it just from how awesome you and your son Nick Weschler were that they decided to pull back on you being villains? Or because I loved it, I was thrilled.
I thought that was a really wonderful thing that they did. My character, if you're not familiar with the show, there are three young alien teenagers in town, and I play the sheriff of Roswell, New Mexico. And for the whole first season, I'm the biggest problem they have. Jim Valenti, the sheriff, is hot on the trail. He knows there's something going on here, and he's gonna get to the bottom of it, and it's not good. It's not gonna end well for these young lovers. Well, they're until the end of the first season. At the very end of the first season, my son, played by Nick Wexler, Kyle, is shot. He's shot and about to die, and he's saved by one of the aliens who uses his sort of alien powers. And in that moment, Jim Valenti flips. Everything that he suspected for the whole first season has been proven true. It's true. They are in fact aliens, and now I have to protect them. So that his relationship with them changes. He becomes the biggest protector they have through the whole second season, until he loses his job as sheriff because he can't tell the rest of the world why he's behaving so strangely.
And then you end up in a band again.
And I end up starting a band, which was,
I love that.
Which was great. It was really great fun. That's the most fun you can have. I love music. It's a hobby, but it's been like, it's been in my life since I was a little kid. My dad had a tenor ukulele, and he gave me the tenor ukulele, and he bought a baritone ukulele, and this was like when I was 8.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to sit in the den with the Mel Bay ukulele songbook open between us and play every song in the book. Just go through, because he knew them. He knew all these songs. I didn't know them, but it was like silly old songs from the 20s and 30s. But then I got a banjo and he got a guitar, and then I got an electric guitar and he got a harmonica, and then I became an actor.
How many musical instruments do you play?
Yeah,
just to force guitar, 4-string banjo, and mandolin. That's all.
What's your instrument of choice when you want to go out there? What do you like to get out with?
You mean when I do open mic nights?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I do mostly acoustic. I have some really wonderful acoustic guitars, and I think my favorite is a 1950 Martin 007 that I have a lot of guitars, but yeah.
What's your pride and joy amongst those guitars? What's the one that a Les Paul? What do you got out there that you?
Oh, I guess I have a 1965 ES335, a Gibson ES335.
Gibson.
It's like the Mickey Mouse ears,
Yeah.
Okay.
And the cherry red. I bought it when we were filming Shawshank, actually. I put an ad in the local penny savers. Wanted guitars, old guitars, banjos, and mandolins. Will pay cash. and I would get calls from people who say, my brother had bought this guitar, back in '63, and then he went away to Vietnam and he never played it again, and it's been in my. Or they'd say, I've got this banjo here. If you want to come and look at it, you go and look at it, and it's not a banjo, it's a guitar, or I ended up buying a lot.
You ended up buying them anyway?
Yes.
we had to rent a truck to get all these things home.
We're coming up to the last few minutes of the show, Dr. Freedom. Brian, did you have a final question for Bill before we go?
Oh yeah. When you're picking out roles, like I said, running through this whole list, like I said, some of these I was like, oh my God, that's that guy, because I never recognized you before, as also being Death, and Bill and Ted and all that. But one movie that always comes back to me is Demon Knight. And somebody just mentioned it in the chat as well. And that was just such a great character, Frank Breaker. I love that. Kind of like the reluctant type of hero. But when you're choosing a role, do you prefer like a hero, a comedy, or do you prefer the villains? What kind of role do you really like to play?
I think I like the roles that where there's a reveal, where there's like Breaker in Demon Knight. He starts out, you don't know who this guy is. The same thing is true in Die Hard 2. You don't know, the first time you see him, he's naked and doing Tai Chi in a hotel room, and it's like, but he remains evil the whole way through. Breaker appears to be you're frightened of him at first. He's a scary dude. But until it becomes clear that he's the one who's trying to save everybody, at a tremendous cost to himself. It's funny too, but it's the same thing with the Grim Reaper in Bogus Journey. The first time you see him, he's terrifying. He's the image of death that we all, grow up with, until the game sequence when he starts to unravel and become this petulant, spoiled, angry, insecure guy, and it's just like the facade crumbles, and now you're not afraid of him, and he's wearing a dress and going through heaven, and then he just wants to be one of the guys. He just, what about my butt? Reaping burns a lot of calories.
I know this.
He wants to be accepted and loved by the band. By the end of it, he's like all of us. We're all mushy dopes. We all want to be part of the band.
Speaking of which, and I'll end this up. Speaking of in the buff, since it's the end, you actually had to work out for Bogus Journey, or at least I remember in one other show. Didn't you have to do something because you had to be in the buff or something happened?
For Die Hard 2.
For Die Hard 2. I'm sorry, Die Hard 2. My apologies there. Die Hard 2.
Yes.
You had to work out for that.
Yes.
Because you said something to the fact that you didn't want to regret 10 years later when people saw this movie. It was
exactly. Well, there was no nude scene in the script. It just said a man doing Tai Chi in a hotel room. And I got to the costume fitting for it. I've told this story before. I apologize if you've heard it. But the director, Rennie Harlan, this Finnish director, was standing there. We tried everything else on, and all of his other costumes on, and we finished. And I said, "What's he wearing in the hotel room?" And Rennie got really quiet, and he looked at the costumer, and he looked back at me, and he said, "Actually, Bill, I was thinking you would be nude." And I thought, and I said yes. I said, if you push it to the end of the shoot, so I can, and get me a trainer, and get me in a gym, and push it off as far as you can, I'll do it. I should have probably called my agent and said, get more money, but I didn't know. I didn't know the business then. And that's what they did. They got me and you'd be surprised how motivating it is to know that you're going to be completely naked in the summer blockbuster sequel to it. And I didn't want to look at it when I was 60 and say, "Oh, Jesus, look at that butt. Look at that butt. What about my butt?"
Speaking of butts, we've reached the end of our episode. Thank you all for joining us here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Do not forget, please check it out. I watched it on Amazon. You can check out Bill and Ted Face the Music, the third and possibly the final installment of the Bill and Ted Adventures, because it's a very, very nice way to wrap up the Bill and Ted story. And definitely check out our good friend Bill Sadler, and they're recurring his role as Death. Thank you, Bill, for joining us. Bill, you're more than welcome to join us at the after party. Just there are a few questions we didn't get a chance to get in the show. And for those folks, join us at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Don't forget Facebook.com, the Traveling TARDIS. We're up to 37,500 people at this moment right now, and climbing. I think 37,500 people subscribe to our Facebook page there, Bill. Yeah, exactly.
Why?
We got lots of people out there, and we want to let you know that starting October 1st, and I'm going to give you a little preview of it. I went to St. Augustine, and we have new pictures for Halloween. Starting October 1st, the Traveling TARDIS is going to be having a special. We put out video clips, we put out music, we put out movies, Doctor Who clips, and especially old and classic new photos of the Traveling TARDIS as it's traveling around in its scariest form out there. So be planning. Go ahead, Bill. I'm sorry.
If I could just say one thing more.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This I've been, during the downtime here, I started a YouTube channel called William Sadler The Kitchen Tapes. Like Dylan Basement Tapes. I have the kitchen tapes. And I sing and play. So if people are curious about well, what does he sound like when he sings and plays? They can come over and check out the kitchen tapes on YouTube. And I tell stories, sort of like war stories about Roswell, about Die Hard 2, about the days in the theater, and so on.
Awesome.
So,
well, Melanie, I know she's on top of this. We're going to get the link, and when the audio drops, for those of you listening to us on the on iTunes or wherever you're listening to us on Spreaker, on iHeartRadio, we will have the link for that posted wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Bill, thank you so much again. We're going straight to our after party. We're going to try to see if we can get a few questions. Great. Bill, I know you're on a schedule too, but everybody, thank you for joining us with another Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Please continue to stay logged on, tuned in, stay safe, wash your hands, and become part of the legend. And thank you for joining us all.